Not all heroes make it into the history books. Scattered across the past are brave men and women who shaped the United States in ways most people have never heard of. In this animated journey, we're uncovering stories of bravery and sacrifice that deserve to be remembered. Number 1. Sybil Ludington, the teenage midnight rider of the Revolution. On a dark, stormy night in April of 1777, a 16-year-old girl named Sybil Ludington took on a daring mission that would earn her a place among America's forgotten heroes. The British had launched a surprise attack on Danbury, Connecticut, setting the town ablaze and destroying vital supplies for the Continental Army. There was no time to lose. Sybil's father, Colonel Henry Ludington, needed someone to alert the local militia scattered across the countryside. Without hesitation, Sybil volunteered. Mounting her horse Star, Sybil rode into the rain-soaked night, her determined face lit only by flashes of lightning. She pounded on farmhouse doors, calling out to sleeping soldiers and urging them to gather at her father's farm to prepare for battle. Her route stretched nearly 40 miles. Yet Sybil's journey was filled with dangers, from hostile soldiers to treacherous weather. But Sybil's courage never wavered. She pressed on, her voice cutting through the storm as she rallied hundreds of men to arms. By the time she returned home, exhausted and soaked to the bone, her mission was a success. Thanks to her warning, the militia was able to regroup and launch a counterattack against the British the next day. But despite her heroic efforts, her name would fade into the shadows of history. It was her youth and gender, perhaps, that kept her story from receiving the recognition it deserved. No one thought a teenage girl's ride was worth recording, but her bravery that night was every bit as bold as the most celebrated figures of the Revolution. Decades later, her remarkable ride was finally acknowledged. In 1961, a statue of Sybil Ludington on horseback was erected in Carmel, New York, commemorating her fearless midnight journey. A United States postage stamp followed in 1975, honoring her legacy and ensuring her name would not be completely lost to time. Sybil Ludington's courage and determination exemplify the countless unsung heroes of the American Revolution. Though she may not be as well known as others, her story remains a powerful reminder that heroism knows no age or gender. It is earned through acts of selflessness and bravery when it matters most. Number 2. Bass Reeves, the real-life Lone Ranger of the Wild West. In the rugged and untamed frontier of the 1800s, where justice was often delivered at the end of a gun, Bass Reeves rose to prominence as one of the most effective lawmen the Wild West had ever seen. Yet for decades, his incredible legacy remained largely unknown. Born into slavery in 1838, Reeves seized his freedom during the Civil War, fleeing to the Indian Territory where he learned Native American languages and survival skills that would later prove invaluable. After the war, Reeves found a new calling as a United States Deputy Marshal, becoming the first black man to hold that title west of the Mississippi. Tasked with bringing order to the rough Oklahoma Territory, Reeves built a reputation for tracking down the most dangerous outlaws. Over his 32-year career, he captured around 3,000 felons, a number almost too astonishing to believe. His skill with firearms and his quick thinking made him a formidable foe to any lawbreaker. Standing over 6 feet tall with a booming voice and a thick mustache, Reeves was as intimidating as he was clever. Known for his mastery of disguise, he would often pose as a tramp, a cowboy, or even a preacher to catch criminals off guard. His creativity and intelligence were as much his weapons as his revolver, allowing him to outwit those who underestimated him. But Reeves's story also shares striking similarities with the legendary Lone Ranger. He rode with Native American deputies, used clever disguises, and handed out silver dollars as tokens of goodwill, details that echo the iconic tales of the masked hero. Despite his impressive record and nearly mythical exploits, Reeves's story was almost erased from history. It would take over a century for his name to resurface in mainstream culture, thanks to the efforts of modern historians. Today, Bass Reeves is finally receiving the recognition he deserves. From books and documentaries to planned monuments, the real-life lawman who roamed the West with honor and courage is stepping back into the spotlight. His story serves as a powerful reminder that true heroes are not always the ones immortalized in books or movies, but sometimes the ones who simply did their duty, even when the world refused to acknowledge them. Number 3. John Stark, the forgotten Revolutionary War hero. John Stark may not be a household name today, but during the Revolutionary War, he was one of the most formidable leaders on the battlefield. Born in New Hampshire in 1728, Stark grew up on the wild frontier, learning survival skills that would later serve him well as a soldier. Before the Revolution, he fought in the French and Indian War, where he proved himself a skilled and fearless warrior. But his true legacy would be forged during America's fight for independence. When the Revolutionary War broke out, Stark quickly joined the cause, commanding a group of New Hampshire militia known for their ruggedness and resilience. He fought bravely at the Battle of Bunker Hill, where his troops helped repel British forces from a strategic position, inflicting heavy casualties. Stark's leadership and grit earned him the respect of his men and the admiration of fellow commanders. But it was the Battle of Bennington in 1777 that truly cemented Stark's reputation as a hero. Facing a much larger force of British troops and Hessian mercenaries in Vermont, Stark rallied his men with a bold declaration. "There they are, boys. We beat them today, or Molly Stark sleeps a widow tonight." Against all odds, his troops decimated the enemy, capturing hundreds of prisoners and effectively crippling the British campaign in the north. Stark's victory at Bennington was a turning point in the war. It directly contributed to the British defeat at Saratoga, which convinced France to join the American cause as an ally. Without Stark's daring attack, the war's outcome might have been very different. After the war, Stark retired to his farm in New Hampshire, living a quiet life away from the spotlight. He remained devoted to the ideals of liberty and unity, though his contributions were largely forgotten by history books. Unlike many of his fellow generals, Stark did not pursue a career in politics or bask in the glory of his achievements. Before his death in 1822, Stark penned a letter to veterans of the Battle of Bennington with the phrase, "Live free or die. Death is not the worst of evils." The words would later become New Hampshire's state motto, a fitting tribute to a man who gave everything for freedom. Number 4. Dr. Susan Flesche Picotte, the first Native American doctor and healing pioneer. Born in 1865 on the Omaha Reservation in Nebraska, Susan Flesche Picotte grew up witnessing the devastating impact of inadequate health care on her people. One haunting memory from childhood stuck with her. A native woman dying from tuberculosis after being denied treatment by doctor. It was a cruel moment that planted a powerful seed in young Susan's mind, the resolve to become a doctor herself. Against all odds, she pursued that dream with relentless determination. After attending schools in Nebraska and New Jersey, Susan was accepted into the Woman's Medical College of Pennsylvania. Despite the challenges of being both a woman and a Native American in a time when discrimination was rampant, she excelled. In 1889, she graduated as the top student of her class, becoming the first Native American woman to earn a medical degree in the United States. Returning home to Nebraska, Dr. Flesche Picotte dedicated herself to serving the Omaha Nation. She became the reservation physician, responsible for the health care of more than 1,200 people spread over 450 square miles. Traveling on horseback through harsh conditions, she provided care for ailments ranging from broken bones to tuberculosis, acting as the community's only doctor. But Susan's work extended beyond treating individual patients. She launched campaigns for better sanitation, nutrition, and temperance, understanding that true healing required a healthy environment as well. She passionately advocated against alcohol abuse, which was devastating her community, and lobbied for improved living conditions that would support better health overall. Her greatest achievement came in 1913 when she successfully opened a hospital on the Omaha Reservation, the first privately funded hospital on a reservation in United States history. It was a dream she had worked tirelessly to achieve, building medical infrastructure where there had been none. This hospital was not just a place for healing, it was a symbol of hope and progress for her people. Despite her groundbreaking accomplishments, Dr. Susan Flesche Picotte's story faded into the background. As a Native American woman in the 19th century, her remarkable achievements were largely ignored by mainstream history. Today, her contributions are being rediscovered, and her name is slowly being recognized as a true American hero. Dr. Susan Flesche Picotte's life was defined by courage and a profound dedication to the well-being of her people. Though history nearly forgot her, her impact continues to inspire new generations. Number 5. Robert Smalls, from enslaved pilot to Civil War hero and statesman. Robert Smalls was born into slavery in Beaufort, South Carolina in 1839, but his courage and skill would soon make him a hero. As a young man, he became an experienced harbor pilot, navigating Charleston's waters with precision. In May 1862, during the Civil War, Smalls saw his chance for freedom and took it, earning himself a place among America's forgotten heroes. One night, Smalls put his daring plan into action. While the Confederate crew slept, he took control of the Planter, a heavily armed Confederate steamship docked in Charleston Harbor. Disguised in the captain's uniform, he used his knowledge of signals to steer the ship past Confederate checkpoints undetected. His skillful navigation fooled the guards, allowing him to sail to freedom. Once safely beyond Confederate defenses, Smalls raised a white flag and headed for the Union blockade. When Union forces recognized his intentions, Smalls delivered not only himself and 16 other enslaved people to freedom, but also the Planter's weapons, ammunition, and crucial intelligence, including Confederate code books. Smalls's daring act was a massive victory for the Union. His bravery and quick thinking earned him instant fame in the North. He later served in the Union Navy and even became captain of the Planter, one of the few black Americans to command a U.S. military vessel during the Civil War. After the war, Smalls continued to make history. He returned to South Carolina, became a politician, and served 5 terms in the U.S. House of Representatives. He also helped draft a new state constitution, promoting rights for black citizens and fighting for equality. Despite his extraordinary achievements, Smalls' story was nearly erased during the Jim Crow era. His legacy, buried for decades, is only now gaining the recognition it deserves. Robert Smalls' incredible journey from enslaved pilot to statesman proves that courage and determination can overcome even the darkest circumstances. Number 6. Adolphus Greely, the forgotten Arctic explorer. Adolphus Greely was a man driven by ambition and curiosity, determined to push the limits of human exploration. Born in Massachusetts in 1844, Greely served in the Union Army during the Civil War. But his greatest adventure came in 1881 when he led the Lady Franklin Bay expedition. This daring mission aimed to collect valuable meteorological and astronomical data from the Arctic. But what began as a scientific journey soon became a harrowing fight for survival. Greely and his team of 25 men established a base called Fort Conger in northern Canada, braving the brutal cold for 2 years while recording scientific data. They even set a new record for the farthest point north reached by any explorer. However, their success turned to despair when expected resupply ships never arrived, leaving them stranded and running out of food. Desperate to survive, Greely made the tough decision to abandon Fort Conger and head south. The journey was a nightmare, with starvation, scurvy, and exposure claiming most of his men. As months dragged on, Greely's leadership kept the remaining crew together, but hope was fading fast. By the time a rescue ship arrived in 1884, only 7 of the original 25 men remained alive. Greely was barely recognizable, reduced to a skeletal figure by the ordeal. Greely continued to serve his country and was eventually promoted to brigadier general and awarded the Medal of Honor for his Arctic contributions. Yet his name faded into obscurity, overshadowed by other explorers and forgotten by history. Adolphus Greely's story is one of resilience and courage. While he may not have achieved the glory he once sought, his endurance in the Arctic remains a testament to the human spirit's strength. It's time his name was remembered among America's true heroes. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.